Hello everyone, we welcome all of you back to our channel, and we would like to make an announcement that we have started a new particular series, that is daily newspaper analysis series of Indian Express, especially for the exams of defense aspirants. Exams like CAPF Assistant Commandant exam, CDS examination, FCAT examination, and ND examination, and also State Police Service examination. So, how this particular series will help you? Because in this particular series, we are going to incorporate the special news related to the defense and also the uniform forces. So, in particular, that is, if we talk about the CAPF examination, there is paper 2. In this, there is a writing part of 200 marks. So, this particular series will help you in interrelating the concept, and that is what in contemporary times UPSC is asking, and what will be a important issue will be covered in the 2022 examination. So talking about the CDS, there is a this one particular this selection procedure, that is service selection board. In this, there is a interviewing process, and another is this group discussion, lecturate, and so many other things. So this the habit of newspaper reading and our guidance will help you in excel in your particular SSB also, and this thing also valid for the FCAT and NDA aspirants also. So without wasting any much more time, so let's start. This is one particular event, that is a simmering unease. With the first news, if we talk about this unease, particular news, Bangladesh violence find important issue was covered echoes in Tripura, and the government should be mindful of region's multiple fault line. So this particular news is related with the atrocities and violence against the minorities in the Bangladesh. We have seen there are news that Hindu minorities are being targeted by one particular section in the Bangladesh, and the temples and their praying site are also demolished. So how it will affect India in a way? So one particular topic was asked by UPSC CAPF Assistant Commandant 2018 exam. Topic was civil wrongs emerging from religious bigotry constitutionally punishable. So religious bigotry means religious intolerance. So the religious intolerance faced by the migrant this minority community in Bangladesh has some repercussion in India also, because by culturally India and Bangladesh are very much interlinked. Although religiously at we are not at par, but culturally we are linked. Historically our language are same, our cultures are same, so many things resembles. So now we are going to discuss is what happens in this particular case. That is, experts are saying that there will be a domino effect in India also. If this Bangladesh particular community are targeting the minorities community, we can see the same thing happen into the India in northeastern states like Tripura. And also we have seen some examples also in Tripura. Muslim communities in Tripura, Muslim community that is in minority. So Muslim community that is in minority in Tripura, they are facing the brunt, because they are in minority in Bangladesh. Hindus are in minority. Though the native people which are in Tripura, what happened is after the partition, the legacy of partition and migration, what happened is in 1971 there was a lot of migration from the Bangladesh into Tripura. That is the case. But what happened is it has increased the social fault lines. Social fault lines in Tripura, because two different communities, they start living together, although they have too much differences in terms of culture, language, religion. So the fault line is there, and the recent event in Bangladesh, it has reinstated these fault lines. So this is regarding the Tripura. And what about other things with respect to the northeast in India? Kya other things? Other things like polarization has already happened in the northeastern states. Why? Due to the this bringing of NRC and CAA Act, this controversial act. So the polarization in northeastern state due to CAA and NRC like law. And another things we have seen recently like heavy-handed eviction in Assam against the Muslim peasants lead to the communal divide. So the communal harmony within the region of Assam was distorted, and we can simply write this communal harmony in Assam distorted. So there is communal inharmony. Another is interstate border dispute involving Assam and Mizoram. So there is an interstate this dispute we have seen, because and in that event we have seen that 6 policemen personnel got killed. Two police forces, that is Assam and Manipur, they get into the fighting, and we have seen the 6 policemen lost their lives. So interstate border dispute. So what we are talking about, we are talking about northeast in general, and how Bangladesh, the event happened in the Bangladesh, how it will affect in India, mainly the northeastern state. And one main thing is anti-outsider politics in Meghalaya. So this we have seen the inner line permit concept in Meghalaya. Another is we have seen the peace deal, the NSCN Isaac Moya faction, in 2015. What happened is there was a framework agreement between government of India and this particular organization, but after some period of time this organization came up with very different demand that is not can be met by the government within the constitutional framework. So it is very difficult. What are the demand of separate flag and constitution and new constitution for this Naga people. The government of India, they have said that clearly that these two demands cannot be met. So there is a deadlock. Between government of India and this particular organization. What other thing is that how we can move out of this situation? So we have talked about the context and what are the outcome क्या हो सकती है इसकी, गवर्नमेंट इसको कैसे वे फॉरवर्ड में लेके जा सकती है. गवर्नमेंट नीड टू ब्रिंग आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स सॉल्यूशन. ये पर्टिकुलर इस आर्टिकल में डिस्कस किया है. व्हाट विल बी द आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स सॉल्यूशंस, लाइक हाउ वी कैन दिस NSCN ग्रुप, इनकी जो डिमांड है उनको कैसे मेट कर सकते हैं विद इन द फेडरल फ्रेमवर्क. सो जो फेडरल फ्रेमवर्क है उसको दिमाग में रखते हुए, ठीक है ना, हाउ वी कैन मेट दिस पीपल्स डिमांड. सो दिस इज द वन पर्टिकुलर article. Next one is fuel and food. We all are aware that this inflation is on rise. So commodity inflation is on rise after this post COVID. What happened is there is post COVID supply chain disruption. So this event post COVID supply chain disruption, इसी से mainly क्या हुआ है, we have seen there is a rise in the oil prices. Currently $86 per barrel is the price of petroleum. Or we know that whenever there is a rise in an increase of any petroleum product, it affects all the commodities, be it of food, be it of transport, be it of industries, everything going to be, the price is going to be increase. So the petrol prices is directly or indirectly linked with the another commodities. And we have also seen that due to this international rise of prices, we have seen the rise in the agriculture commodity. So agriculture commodity prices is also on rise. The things like soybean, that it is clearly written, soybean is selling at 1500 or 5200 per quintal in Madhya Pradesh. Earlier its price was 3900. And also the cotton, it is on rise. So main argument is, despite rise in the commodity prices, farmer को फायदा है या नहीं है, because prices are rising and farmer will they get the benefit of it or not. Experts are saying that diesel prices are on rise. So diesel prices are on rise. So what happen is, another is fertilizer cost is rising. So what will happen in future, it will even out. So जो एग्रीकल्चर कमोडिटी के प्राइस जो राइज होंगे, इट विल इवन आउट. जो डीजल प्राइसेस जैसे प्राइस इंक्रीज होंगे, फर्टिलाइजर कॉस्ट के जो प्राइस इंक्रीज होंगे, वो एक दूसरे को कैंसिल आउट कर देंगे. सो फार्मर विल बी नॉट एट अ वेरी गुड पोजिशन. सो ये इस पर्टिकुलर आर्टिकल में डिस्कस किया है. अनदर इज टाइम टू सीड अ ट्रांजिशन. It is a very good article written by Ashok Gulati, agriculture scientist. If I want to relation in a way that UPSC has had already asked this particular topic in 2019. Topic was sustainable farming is the need of the hour than just rhetorical promises. So the UPSC asked about the sustainable farming, but at that time in the government in 2019 they have declared so many schemes like doubling of farmers income, sustainable farming, climate resilient agriculture, so many things they have talked about. But and in that line UPSC has asked that. This article, Mr. Gulati, he talked about one particular survey, situational assessment survey was released very recently, and in that Mr. Gulati, he said that the high income in the states like Meghalaya, Punjab, Haryana and Jammu and Kashmir, and the lowest income in the state like West Bengal, Odisha and J&K, it is mainly due to the land holding size, because Punjab, Haryana, J&K, because these farmers, the farmers of these states, they have a large land holding, and due to that they have high income. If I talk about the Punjab, the farmers, they have a monthly income of 26,700, and Haryana it is nearly 22,000, and J&K it is around 18 or 19,000. And the lowest income, if I talk about the lowest income, states like West Bengal nearly around 6,700, Odisha nearly around 5,100, and J&K nearly around 4,800. So what happened is, this Mr. Gulati, he has brought a one interesting fact. Fact is that if we talk about the land holding sizes, according the land holding sizes, suppose the farmer of Punjab, he works in a 100 hectare land. And if we compare the income he gets from this particular land according to the land holding sizes, that is very low. So the Punjab will come to the 11th position from the 2nd position. Aggregately, the Punjab farmers get 2nd position in terms of income, but if we talk about the in terms of land holding plus the income, so this much income they are getting from this bigger land holding, that is a case of concern with respect to the Punjab, Haryana and J&K. So talking about the land holding sizes, the Punjab comes at the 11th position and Haryana comes at the 15th position. So which state are the toppers? Toppers are J&K, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, not Andhra Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh. So what they have done differently? Thing is, in around suppose 20 hectare of land, what they have done is they have also done the fisheries, they have also cultivated the crops like fruits, vegetables, apart from conventional things like rice, wheat. So they have diversified their growing practices. So what they have done is, these particular state they have diversified. This is the things. So bringing about the sustainability concept, like why Indian agriculture is unsustainable. Unsustainable agriculture in India. What are the things? Like rice cultivation. These all the things are also talked in the 2019 economic survey. So if you guys want to check, you can also go to this 2019 economic survey, where we have this economic survey also talked about the sustainability of Indian agriculture, and they have talked about the rice cultivation in Punjab and also the more northern states. What happened is, due to the more rice cultivation, the water table get depleted. Against it's an effect on environment. So this particular practice will not be sustainable for a longer term. Another is, if the farmers keep on cultivating rice, there are problems like this water table, problems like this emission of greenhouse gases, mainly methane. So we also seen this one particular report of ARC report. They have said that agriculture is one of the biggest contributor in greenhouse gases, around 27%. Another thing we can talk about, how we get rid of this unsustainability, how we can move from unsustainable practice to the sustainable practices. So the things like, can we move to more diversification, which we have talked about, diversification, like the states they are doing, like Kerala and Arunachal Pradesh plus J&K, where we have found lot of orchids like apple orchids, and in Kerala grapes, Andhra Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh, they are more growing of cash crops which have high value in the market. So diversification strategy can work out, because at a very limited area we can cultivate high cost crops. And other is fisheries plus livestock we can also use, or we can also do the climate resilient agriculture. Climate resilient agriculture. Why this particular thing is important, climate resilient? Because in a longer term we know that the temperature of the earth will go on rise. So how the agriculture will remain sustainable? By bringing this biotechnology, we can make the seeds climate resilient. we can make the seed climate resilient, and also at the same time we can cultivate crop according to the agroclimatic region, agroclimatic regions. Like this rice, they should be grown across where water availability is more, like near the banks of a river, or in a more monsoonal states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and across the UP, this delta region. So the rice is more suitable for this region rather than in Punjab and Haryana, where farmers resort or using more underground water. This will hamper the ground table and aquifers in the region. So this is the things. Another thing we can talk about the biotechnological help. We can make the seeds from the beginning that drought resistant seeds. These are the things that through which we can make our agriculture more sustainable. So इसी चीज़ों में इस पर्टिकुलर आर्टिकल में मिस्टर गुलाटी he has talked about. So coming to the next, a faster track to growth. Recently we all are aware that Prime Minister, he has inaugurated one particular important this scheme, or we can say portal, that PM Gati Shakti. So it will synergize the infrastructure project under one master plan. What happened is, earlier there are multiple ministries, they are working in silos. Like suppose we have taken example of like road and transport ministry, they want to build a road, so they have built a national highways or a particular road, and what happened is, after that the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs came into picture, and Ministry of Sanitation and Drinking Water, Ministry of Water and Sanitation came into picture, and they said that they want to provide household tap connection of drinking water. So what happened is, in that even they have to approve that particular road. जो भी इन्होंने लगाए हैं वो उनको रोड उखाड़ने पड़ेंगे. अगेन दे हैव आल्सो अंडरग्राउंड जो फैसिलिटीज़ है, हाउस होल्ड पाइपलाइन वो बिछानी पड़ेगी, एंड आल्सो सीवरेज फैसिलिटीज़. सो वाई नॉट दिस मिनिस्ट्री, before starting any one big project, they synergize, they talk about that in the next 4 to 5 years what is their vision, जो क्या करना चाह रहे हैं, क्या लोगों को one particular welfare के लिए क्या करना चाह रहे हैं. So if they synergize at the beginning, so उससे क्या होगा, there will be efficiency in the system, there will be more efficiency in the system, there will be more optimum utilization of resources, टाइम कॉस्ट ओवररन जो बोलते हैं जिसको, ठीक है, वो भी इससे कम ला सकते हैं. सो डायरेक्टली फ्रॉम द आर्टिकल मैं आपको बताऊं तो मिस्टर हरदीप पुरी, ये क्या है, पेट्रोलियम नेचुरल गैस हाउसिंग अफेयर मिनिस्टर हैं, और इन्होंने जो इंट्रोडक्शन दिया है दैट इज़ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. हाउ? बिकॉज Mr. Puri has talked about that earlier in ancient times that Chandragupta Maurya plus Ashoka built highways in 3rd century BC. So अगर आपको किसी particular essay का introduction चाहिए तो you can also start from the ancient time, historical आपको example लेके आ सकते हैं, ठीक है, यहाँ से आप सीख सकते हैं through newspaper. So he has talked about the Chandragupta Maurya plus Ashoka built highway in 3rd century BC. Thereafter Sher-Shah Suri is well known for the national highways, जो जिसने NH1 का क्या किया था, mainly construction. Thereafter Britishers came into picture, and the railways, rail network and the ports, which is also developed by the Britishers. But there is a catch in that. Britishers mainly constructed this for their own interest like the exploitation of India rather than the nation building. So they want to exploit India in a way that the raw material can be extracted from the hinterlands of India and can be transported to the Lancaster or Manchester, this cloth industries, ठीक है, टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्रीज वहाँ एक्सपोर्ट हो सके. This is for the exploitation, and this also created the bureaucratic silos. Bureaucratic silos means every ministries they are working in silos, different ways. So ये जो क्या है, ये है colonial legacy we are following nowadays. But the present government, they have decided to done with this colonial legacy and they want to bring more synergy within this department. So if we talk about this more synergy type examples which Mr. Puri he has also mentioned in this article, like JAM Trinity, Jandhan Aadhar plus Mudra Trinity, JAM Trinity plus direct benefit scheme DBT is also a major, and Prime Minister Gram Sadak Yojana plus Udan scheme plus Jal Marg Vikas plus industrial and freight corridors plus Bharatmala and Sagarmala. So I think everybody must be aware that what are these particular scheme, Bharatmala, Sagarmala port development scheme, and during pandemic government has also started a one nation one ration card, one nation one ration card scheme. Another is Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, Ayushman Bharat health mission, and one main thing that Mr. Puri has talked about this in this particular article is the logistic sector. What they have said is the present logistic sector of India is around 200 million market. It consists of this much, and they have said that this particular logistic sector will grow up to $330 million. And there are challenges, but what are the challenges? Like if you talk about the transportation cost in the Indian GDP, it is around 13 to 14% of GDP. So whatever the India GDP has, 13 and 14% of GDP is mostly this we can say is cut down by the logistic cost of transport. So the logistic cost bears around 13 to 14%, but in developed countries it is around 7 to 8%. So if we anyhow able to bring down this logistic cost, how it will happen? We need to bring more this synergize concept like rail freight. Why this rail freight only able to transport 25 to 30% of India's transport need? Why most of the things are transported through road network? Because in rail network what is major problem is there is no last mile connectivity, there is unavailability of return load, means one particular train full of load coal or anything, they go to one place and after returning they do not carry anything in itself, so it is again a problem. Another thing is high voyage cost for specialized vessels and high repositioning of domestic containers. So these are the things Mr. Puri has talked about, and he has also beautifully write the conclusion of it. You should also read that. So coming to this I think next last one, the China passes new land border law amid military standoff with India. We all know we are with the standoff with China across the LAC, line of actual control, and what is the length of this LAC? It is 3,488 kilometer long LAC, and there are around 13 to 14 talks between corps commanders level talks, 13 to 14 corps commander level talks. And in that there are certain areas where disengagement has already done, and the troops from both the forces, they've withdrawn from that, and whatever the structure they have built over there, that is dismantled, and they have returned to their training grounds or way away from this LAC. So but there are certain areas like PP point, patrolling point 15, still this PLA troops are still lying at PP 15. This is mainly a conflicting point remain within this between the India and China. So in this all circumstances, what happened is China has brought a new law, and in that law they have said that China will not compromise anyhow against their sovereignty and territorial integrity, and they will dealt with this particular event with strong force. They have tell in this new particular law. So this is again a problematic for India, and let's see how things unfold in future. And this is the yesterday news, so tomorrow we'll bring this particular topic again. So I hope आप सबने ये डेली न्यूज़ एनालिसिस एंजॉय किया होगा, एंड वी विल ब्रिंग दिस particular daily news analysis in the regular interval.